Dear listeners of the Female Guides Requested podcast, Happy Wednesday and Merry Christmas. This is your host Ting Ting from Las Vegas. Today our guest is Joann Garbarini, who also goes by Jo. We worked together on a ladies' weekend out event back in March 2024, but it wasn't until months later that I finally got a chance to sit down with her and learn about her stories. Jo grew up on the East Coast and began climbing in the Shawangunk Mountains as a teenager. She has been hiking and rock climbing for over 20 years all around the United States, Canada, and Europe. Jo spends her time bouncing back and forth between the Eastern Sierras and Red Rock. She loves living and guiding in these places because of the access to climbing. During the warmer months, she loves climbing long alpine routes in the backcountry. As the weather gets colder and snow appears, you can find her climbing in the Owens River Gorge in Bishop or on sandstone in Red Rock. Jo is certified wilderness first responder, holds an Airy Avalanche Level 1 certificate, and has been trained by the AMGA as an apprentice rock guide. Jo loves guiding clients and sharing her passion for the outdoors with them. Jo started her career path as a high school teacher and is now transitioning to holding just two jobs, a realtor and a guide. She has found a great balance between these two professions, which leaves her enough energy and time to stay healthy and enjoying her own climbing. Thank you for coming on this show, Female Guides Request podcast. I've been wanting to interview you. Last time we worked together at Ladies Weekend Out event in Red Rock. It was back in March, maybe?
March, yep.
Yeah, but we were all kind of stressed out about the weather. We were busy and it was very hard for us to find time. So I'm glad that we now can sit down and talk a little bit, and so I can hear about your stories. I would love you to use your words to introduce yourself a little bit to the audience.
My name is Joann Garbarini, and I am an apprentice rock guide. I have been guiding in the Eastern Sierra since 2018, and this is the place that I do the majority of my guiding and my rock climbing, probably because you can climb here 12 months out of the year, different types of rock climbing. So in the summer, I really like to do alpine climbs. And in the shoulder seasons, I really like to sport climb. And then in the winter, I guess I'm still sport climbing, but that's when I like to escape to Red Rock and go climb there. But I guess that's a little bit about me.
I actually don't know that you can climb year round over there. So you right now live in Bishop, right?
Yes.
And so I always consider Eastern Sierra a summer destination. So for example, from May to October, and then my imagination will bring me to say skiing, right? Because it's very close to Mammoth lakes. So when you say the shoulder season sport climbing and the winter time, where exactly do you go?
Owens River Gorge is where we go climbing. So it's pretty interesting because even though in town it might be, I don't know, like 45 degrees, if you go to the gorge, it's usually 10 degrees warmer in certain spots. Sometimes in January, I'm wearing shorts down there in the sun. It's just the way that the cliffs face, the sun just radiates. It's kind of like an oven and it bakes down there. So it makes for really good temps even in the winter.
Interesting. So do you say the Owens River Gorge is more like winter destination?
I'd say it's more of a winter destination than a summer destination because you don't really want to climb there in the summer. It's way too hot. But yeah, I would say if you're going there in the winter time, there's certain walls, and in the you don't want to go to the North Gorge or the Upper Gorge, but if you go to the Lower Gorge, there's a lot more walls that face south and get more sun, um, and it makes for perfect climbing temps in the winter. So
Interesting. I've never climbed in Owens River Gorge because in Red Rock we can climb in winter time, so I never really like migrate to other places. Maybe next time you should show me around.
yeah, I'd love it if you came out here and we could climb together.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I read that you start climbing and explore outdoor from the East Coast, right?
Hmm.
So tell me a little bit story. How did you start? Were you born and raised in East Coast?
Yep. I was born and raised in New Jersey, and there's not a lot of rock climbing there. But an hour and a half north is the Shawgunks, or better known as the Gunks. And I had she's still my best friend, who lives there, and her stepdad would bring us, I think we were like end of high school or beginning of college age, and he would he started taking us to the gym, and then he would take us to these little podunk crags around New Jersey where you could like just set up a top rope. And then so that was my first experience climbing outside, and then on the weekends we would go to the gunks, and I remember him securing me to a tree. He would like tether me to a tree in case he fell. So um, I wouldn't get pulled up. But that was my first experience rock climbing, and he introduced me to it. His name is John Kilpatrick, and he was my climbing partner, my climbing mentor. Even when my best friend didn't want to climb anymore, we still went together. And once I graduated college and like was, starting working, like it was my stress relief. It was my fun time. And I am so thankful for those years with him. I never learned how to lead climb because he would always do the leading. Um, until years later, then I learned how to lead climb. But um, those were yeah, those were great times. And of course, it was seasonal, so we couldn't climb in the winter there. So we'd go to the gym as much as we could. And that was the start of my climbing experience.
Nice. I still remember the Gongs because Gongs is where I started climbing too. When I
Oh,
was
you did?
back yes, I went to school in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Gongs is the closest destination, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
I was so close to New Jersey. I don't even know there's like top roping in New Jersey. Uh, and so for all those years that you were following the Gongs,
Mhm.
then that thought didn't occur to you that maybe you want to be a leader?
I did. And then eventually it did. When I moved to California a few years later, so maybe that was, like 3 years of climbing in the gunks. And then I moved to California and I realized like, oh, I don't have a climbing partner anymore because he was the only person I ever went with. I didn't branch out and find other partners. So when I got to California, I remember going into this little, like it was a dungeon climbing gym in Huntington Beach, and I was so intimidated because nobody was very friendly, and it was just bouldering, and I just remember getting kind of turned off to the whole climbing scene after that. it's like, oh, like maybe, I'm not going to find anybody to climb with or partner up with. And then, so I didn't climb for a short while. And then through a meetup group, it was actually a hiking meetup group that I had joined. And the meetup was intro to rock climbing at this new climbing gym, Cinder One, that was opening up. And I remember like, oh yeah, I could get back into rock climbing. This sounds great. Okay. So I went to the meetup and I remember had to have somebody show me once. I was like, oh yeah, the figure eight. I remember that. And I got right on routes and it just came back like it was so natural. And I was like, that night I joined the gym and got a membership. And from then on, I've just been climbing consistently. And it's been about 20 years now that I've been
Wow.
climbing. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't
And
realize Sender One has been
yeah.
open
Oh,
that many
yeah.
years already.
Well, no, 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 they haven't. I think it's like 12 or 14, but I
I
mean
see,
since climbing with John, it's been about 20 years.
for
Um,
sure.
yeah, so
And
I'm yeah.
and I'm curious, so compare these two gym experience. Of course, when you go to Center One, it was a new gym. I look at the photo before, it was seeing kind of very bright, and then you participate in meetup group, so you probably already have partners.
hmm
But do you think these two gyms atmosphere are like really different?
Do you mean Sender
Means
One
that, and
and
the
what was
first
and
gym that you
New
tried,
Jersey? Oh yeah. Oh, you mean in when I
yeah,
got to California?
yes,
Yeah. It was just dark, dungeon-like. Yes, it was a lot different. It was um, you know, people were not very friendly, but like, yes, with the meetup group, of course I had people to climb with, but also I just felt like people were more welcoming at this gym. And maybe it was because it had just opened, so people were everybody was trying to find new friends and new climbing partners. But I remember it, yeah, just being a lot more welcoming and feeling like a community for me.
nice. I see. Yeah, the reason I ask this is because we met each other the latest weekend out, so we as guys strive to create that environment that people feel welcomed. So I
Right.
was wondering whether this early experience has influenced you somehow in your
Oh,
philosophy.
yes. I guess, I didn't really think about it before, but I guess it has because I never want to feel like the way that I felt in that gym that day, like turning me off to climbing, like doing something that I had previously enjoyed and feeling like, oh, nobody wants me to climb here, or nobody wants me, like nobody's talking to me at all. No, even when I'm asking people questions, they're just giving me really short answers, like, um, like this is our place, and you know,
I see.
so I think maybe it's like it it's not surface level, but it's something that I didn't actually think about before you mentioned it.
So what brought you to California from New Jersey?
Oh, the weather. Yeah, the weather in New Jersey, of Philadelphia, it's in the winter time, it's just cold, and that cold is so cold because there's moisture in the air, there's more humidity, and it's so cold. I feel like the suburban trap there it's very hard to, like, I was driving an hour and a half one way to the mountains when I lived there. And that was only in the summer. And I wasn't really a wintertime sports person. I did snowboard, but um I felt like I had cabin fever in New Jersey in the winter. So I wanted to move to California where it was warmer in the winter and I could do more outdoor things all year round. So I had some friends who moved to Huntington Beach, and I visited them and I was like, this place is great. I'm gonna move here. And then so I did that and I absolutely loved it for many years. It was a great place to live. But then I just started once, the climbing gym, once I joined that climbing gym, me and my friends, we would just take weekend trips. We'd be weekend warriors and just go to Joshua Tree or Bishop or Red Rock. And um, I started just spending more and more time in Bishop and then the summers in Mammoth. And then after a few years, I was like, why don't I just move here? Like I come here so much, sometimes twice a month. I should just live on my vacation. And
Nice.
so that's why I decided to move to Bishop.
And so when you just moved to California, what did you do for a living?
Um, I was teaching high school.
Oh, so when I was Google your name, that it sound like school teacher thing pop out. Was that you?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that
Yes.
was you.
Yes.
I dismissed those things. I just thought, oh, that's not related to climbing.
Yep. Yep. That's me. I worked in Irvine for many years as a high school teacher. Um, and that was a great experience. I really liked teaching there. Um, and um, then I moved to Bishop and um, because I wanted to have a different lifestyle. I wanted to be able to not be in 45 minutes of traffic one way. That's why I moved also. I mean, I loved Bishop, but also because Southern California became so impacted over the time that I lived there, that just driving anywhere. I'm sure you know from living in metropolitan areas, and Philadelphia, I'm sure was the same. It's like you want to go somewhere a few miles away and it takes way too long. It takes way longer than it should. And now in Bishop, I mean, I can ride my bike places. I can like ride my bike to the grocery store or ride my bike to my friend's house. And it's um like it's also like lends itself to being outside more.
Nice. So because you were a weekend warrior, you just kept climbing and climbing. You're just like, okay, I need to move out there. I'm enjoying not driving everywhere in traffic. So you make a location change. Did you also at the same time make a career change?
No, I was, well, before I even moved to Bishop permanently, I was guiding in Mammoth during the summers. So I was just doing single pitch, guiding in Mammoth during the summers. And then, because that works well with teaching, right? So summertime, that was my summertime job. And then I go back to teaching. And then, I bought a house in Bishop in 2019. And then I also got a job at the high school here in Bishop. So that helped my transition here. Um, and I don't know, I think it's like just organic. Like I started teaching here, but then also I started getting into real estate. I started managing my friends' properties for them. I bought another rental property in Bishop. And then after that, I was like, oh, I really like this real estate thing. Maybe I'll try to get my real estate license. And my friend Corrine was like, yeah, if you get your real estate license, I can mentor you. And I was like, that's great. So I I did that and I got my real estate license and now I'm also a realtor.
Yeah, you're a little bit different. That piqued my interest that because I interview a lot of guys. They was, oh yeah, love the outdoor, love climbing, which you are the same, of course. But most of them just dive into this profession. And
Mhm.
it seems like you are wearing a lot of hats. You're a teacher, you're a realtor, you're also a guide. do you think, well, you are a teacher to start with, you must love teaching, and so that's why you stay in this job? Or do you think there's any, say, financial concern? Because most people think the guiding is actually a hard profession to work as a full-time position.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that it's the money part of it, financial. I do love teaching, but I'm ready to move on. Like you're catching me in this transition year actually, because I'm only teaching part-time right now. And I'm looking to transition just into real estate and guiding. I don't want to have three jobs. I like the teaching, but after COVID, honestly, things changed for me. I don't feel like my students are as excited or engaged in learning. I feel like I'm, always competing with cell phones, and AI makes things so easy to just get information, right? It's become more um like I'm just ready for a change. I'm ready to. Now, when I go guiding, people are always listening to me and always like excited about what they're learning, and they're asking questions, and I'm happy to answer those questions because they're really engaged. And I don't see that as much in my teaching career anymore. So I'm I'm moving on from teaching high school, and I'm just going to be a realtor and um, and a rock climbing guide.
Interesting, because in my imagination, well, guiding, we have a lot of teaching too.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, all the skill you have fine tune in your teaching career can apply in guiding too. And I totally understand that we love our students to be motivated, to be psyched, so they want to learn, and the more they want to learn, the more we feel like we want to teach. And I'm very surprised that COVID actually brings so much impact to the attitude of students learning in school. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
And how about real estate? Or what kind of interesting thing you find in that profession?
Well, I'm I just love helping people find their dream home. Like that's another form of teaching too, because a lot of people, unless they've bought a house before, they don't know the whole process. So I'm explaining the process of home buying to a lot of first time home buyers, and like just walking them through the steps and teaching them like what we have to do before we even find the house that you want to buy. And then once we find the house, then I'm then I'm explaining the contract and what we're going to do during escrow. And then once we're in escrow, it's just, we're just taking it chunk by chunk, and I'm explaining, and it's fun walking them through the process because once again, they're motivated learners, right? They're invested in this financially and emotionally, and um, they're excited about finding a place to call their own. So I really enjoy that part as well. Um,
I see. You
and yeah,
enjoy working with motivated people, and help them to accomplish their dreams or their goal.
that's a great way to put it. Yes, that's what I am in. Yes, that's what I want to do.
Nice. So right now it's in both real estate
Mm,
and guiding. And
yes.
would you see you in both of these roles for perhaps like a few years in the future?
Sure. Yes. And just to go back to your question about like why I'm not jumping head first in is just because I've been around a lot of guides for the last 6 years, and overwhelmingly, the feedback I get from them or hear about them being guides full time is that a lot of them get burnt out, and then they don't want to climb for themselves. And that's something I'm trying to be wary about is or cautious about, is that I still want to climb for myself. I don't want to climb so much for work that I get injured or get overuse injuries. So I do love the guiding, but I want to not make it my full-time profession, I guess. Right
Well,
now,
that's yeah, I mean
anyway.
that's smart. I mean, you at least you know what you want and what you don't want, and learning from other people's stories, because I also heard a lot of burnout story. And when the red rock season's busy, I kind of can feel that same way. Just like I don't want to go out climbing, but then I
Mhm.
really love climbing, and which
Right.
is kind of odd. Yes, so
Right.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't
But
have another way of make money, so I probably have to think about this a little bit.
well, yeah, I want to know from you what, like, from what you just said, have you ever had any like overuse injuries or, I guess there are seasons, right? So then, like, maybe in the summer you're not guiding as much and you're climbing more for yourself, and maybe you're going on trips, or are you climbing in Charleston where the weather is cooler?
Yeah, I mean, I climb Charleston for sure, and in summertime it's more of my less working time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but this summer though, because the roads in Charleston has flooded out and they haven't repaired, so I still
Hmm.
went to the Northwest to climb and work a little bit. But right now I'm also adjusting too, because just like you said, I don't want to work too much to kill the site for my personal climbing. And even
Hmm.
though I'm getting older, I still think I have game in me to climb better. So I want
Hmm.
to have a little more time for myself. So it's a constant um, balancing art. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how do you feel about your two jobs? Does it balance itself really well, and then also make you feel like not physically tired, so you can go do on your, say, adventures?
Right. Yes. Um, I feel like I can still go on my own adventures, and really, I think that they balance each other out perfectly, because even when I am guiding, usually it's like a 1 day um thing, and it's planned out beforehand. So if I have a real estate client and we're in escrow, I can just let them know, like, okay, I won't be available by phone today, but there's it's usually not a critical day, and I'll just touch base with you when I hear back. Or like if we put in an offer and we have 3 days to find out about the offer, and my guiding day is right in the middle, that's not really going to affect like the real estate deal. Um, and so I feel like it works out perfectly. And even if I am in Red Rock guiding for the weekend or something, and a lot of things can be done online now. So besides physically showing the person the home, and maybe the inspection that needs to be done, being there physically for that, a lot of stuff can be done online or with technology.
Nice. And let's talk a little bit about your guiding work. Now, I know you do say single pitch guiding, you do some multi pitch guiding. Like that's more like, say, I would call it more like a regular thing. You're probably
Mhm.
teaching some courses, and you also collaborate with some other organization, or I saw some like yoga retreat, that type of thing. So can you describe that to me? Like what kind of stuff that do you offer or do you guide?
Yes, one of my friends, Lauren, who owns Sierra Shanti Yoga Studio in town, she saw some of my stories on Instagram about guiding, and she messaged me like, "Hey, we should do a yoga and climbing retreat." And I said, "I would love that. That sounds like a great idea." So we teamed up with our other friend who owns Sierra Mountain Center, and the came up with the curriculum for the 4 days, um, and then that's one of the programs that we run is a combined yoga and climbing, because it really is yin and yang, right? Like yoga, like the stretching, elongating, like is so helpful after climbing or even before climbing. Um, so that's one of the retreats. It's called like a yoga climbing retreat that we run.
And it's in Eastern Sierras.
Yes, it's in the Alabama Hills, which is the foothills of Lone Pine, basically right at the base, or the foothills, the town that is right that you would go to to climb Mount Whitney. Um, in the foothills, there's some climbing in the Alabama Hills, it's called.
I
Hmm.
see. And so in Eastern Sierra, you work for, so this one is Sierra Mountain guys?
I do work for Sierra Mountain Guides, um, and I work for Sierra Mountain Center, and I also work for Golden State Guiding.
I see. So,
Yeah,
so you are an employee of these three different guiding companies, and then they probably assign you work, or maybe you will have your own clients, and then you would work with them.
right. Yes, yeah. And especially this year, it's been harder. There hasn't been as much work for these companies. So of course the full-time alpine guides are going to get all the work, even the work that's suited for me, like intro to trad climbing, or the intro to trad climbing clinic or something like that, or just 1 day multi-pitch climbing is um, going to go to the guides that are um, priority or that are higher up on the pick list.
I see.
Um,
And I see that you actually have a plan to get a higher sir, at least on the rock track,
mhm.
right?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, and actually went out yesterday with two of my friends. One is an alpine certified alpine guide and certified rock guide, and his name's Michael O'Connor. And the other one is my friend Jerry, who um, is going to take his advanced rock guide course right now. He's in a couple weeks, actually. So we were all practicing together, helping Jerry. And I was talking to Mike about that. I was like, I don't know. Like, I feel like in the Eastern Sierra, you need the intro to alpine course to do more multi-pitch. But then in Red Rock, I don't really need the intro to alpine course. I need the advanced rock guide course. So I'm kind of, just playing around with the ideas of like, which one do I want to take next? Which one's going to help advance my career more? I'll probably wind up taking both of them at some point, but I don't know. What do you think about that?
Um, it really depends, right? If you are going to, I mean, for me in Red Rock, I'm a rock guide, so I'm set.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
actually can go guide in Sierras as long as I don't have to travel on snow.
Hmm.
It's kind of funny in a way. Um, and then, but other than that, so if I want to go on alpine rock, if I have to travel through snow, then definitely I have to take um, some credential for sure for that.
Hmm.
And right now, I think 2025 they have two tracks. So
Hmm.
you probably can look into that. They have the Alpine Rock track, and then they have the Glacier
Hmm.
track. So,
Hmm.
and then in Sierras, I don't really think this glaciers, right? I don't. If that's not something that you are looking into, I think maybe in the Alpine rock
Hmm.
track will be
Hmm.
good. And I thought about that a long time ago because I used to do a lot of Alpine climbing myself. but I actually don't like walking.
That's so funny.
So for me,
Yeah.
it's like for my own personal trip in the past, I was so driven, so I can carry camping gear, climbing gear, food, and all
Hmm.
that, and go in the mountains because I have goals. But now, and I used to camp with my students, but now I like to just do day trip and come back home to cuddle with my cats.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess so for
Yeah.
me it's a little bit. I have multiple times I thought that maybe I'll get my alpine rock, but then alpine guide track, but then I just like write it off. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That makes
And
sense.
yes, but depends. So you live very near the Sierra, so you might feel there's a need for you to get those work, right? So taking people to climb those alpine
Mm-hmm.
rock routes and stuff.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure even with my alpine, or no, sorry, my advanced rock guide course, my scope of practice does open up more. But there's not a lot of glacier. There is snow travel, but I wouldn't say they're glaciers, you know.
Right. Yes.
Um, so yeah, that's just something I'm gonna keep thinking about. But I think probably by next fall I'll try to take the advanced rock guide course.
Yeah.
Um,
And and talking about that, because a lot of those courses happen well either in Boulder or in Red Rock. And I
mhm.
actually saw that you recently just bought a house in Vegas?
I did, yeah, and that was part of the reason because I want to guide there more. And I have some friends that moved there, some of those SoCal friends from years ago that I used to go to the climbing gym with. And I was just staying with them, like, hey, I'm guiding this weekend. Can I come crash on your couch or use your spare bedroom? And they were always, they're always like, yeah, come on, no problem. And then, after a while, I'm just like, okay, I should probably get my own place. Like I'm in, I don't I just think it would be good for my like longevity as a guide, like to say, okay, I have a place here, and like because this is one of the places that I want to establish myself as a guide.
Nice.
So,
And yeah, it's interesting because now I heard this trend of longevity. You don't want burn out. It seems like you really take care of your personal health. And do you mind ask you how old you are?
I am 42.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is very
Yeah.
normal for like most guys in their 30s or their 40s. But do
Hmm.
you think that, like, of course, you heard from other guys about burning out, and then maybe say your current age, which is really not that old, but kind of contribute to you thinking in this way?
I don't know if it's my age really. I think it's my history. Like I've had um two elbow surgeries for torn tendons for overuse. But and that I don't think that had anything to do with guiding. It was just my own, rock climbing. Um, in the past, I've broken both ankles at different times, and I'm thinking about like actually everything feels great now. Like totally recovered, nothing hurts, my body feels healthy and strong, but I want to keep it that way. So I think that just going through an injury, as probably a lot of us, anybody listening can relate to, it's like once you have an injury, like maybe one injury, okay, you fix it, you move on, but then, oh, another thing happens. And then you're more cautious the next time. And then you're more cautious because you don't like being away from the thing that you love. Taking that time off for injury is not always fun. It's not um, always enjoyable. Although, I did try to, yeah, keep myself busy. It's like, this is what I really love to be doing. I don't want to be resting right now. Or so I think I'm just more cautious about, yes, taking care of my body, doing my PT exercises or just doing the antagonist exercises um, to keep everything strong and balanced, and also yeah, to prevent injury prevention is huge, I think,
For sure.
especially.
I mean, if you are out, you can just like, you can work. Well, if you're a full-time guy, at least you still can do your realtor work.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of guys, I have some guy friend, if they are injured, they can't work, right? And then you can do what you love to do, definitely, for a
Right.
while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and it's not just, the climbing that I love, but I love that experience that I get to have with people on their first outdoor rock climb or their first multi-pitch climb, or even, it's not their first multi-pitch climb, but we just go and have a rad day together where they're so stoked and they're so excited and they're having the best time and they're going to remember it forever. Like that's what I really enjoy about guiding.
Nice. What do you identify yourself? For example, say I'm Asian and you are climber of color.
I'm Italian. I don't
Okay,
know.
I
I don't
see.
know what.
Uh, all
Uh,
right.
People have told me that I look Spanish or Mexican. Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
my olive skin and my curly hair. I don't know. But I have had people come up to me and start speaking Spanish, and I
Oh,
don't not
okay.
know. So
Sorry, I did
mhm.
also make assumptions. Sorry.
No, that's
I was
okay.
quite rude.
No, no, it's
Yeah.
fine.
And I'm just curious that do you find that the appearance help or interfere with your guiding, like, because we all talk about the traditional guide community is white,
Hmm.
cisgender,
Hmm.
younger generation. Yes.
I don't feel like it's affected my guiding thus far. I uh, but as you're saying that, it made me think of my the rock guide course that I have, and I want to talk about that because I think I had a really great experience, and I don't think a lot of people have a great or not, that's not true. I mean, I've just heard other people not having as great of an experience as I had. The first day, my instructors set the tone of we are all here to learn. We're all equal. Tell us your pronouns. We want to know, what you want to learn. This is not a test. They made us just feel welcome. They talked about imposter syndrome and um, like even the lead guide on our course was like, imposter syndrome. I'm having it right now. I can't believe they put me in charge of this. This is great. I'm having it, and everybody just laughed, and it was they made it a fun, light environment, which was more conducive to learning. I didn't feel that because it was a co-ed course, by the way. So I guess there were 8 people, 8 students, and 3 women and 5 men. And I felt like I was treated totally just like anybody else. I wasn't treated special. I wasn't treated badly. I was treated just like any other woman on that course and any other man. So I was very grateful for that because I felt um, it really relaxed me that first day having that conversation with my instructors, and they were very much like, we are not the gatekeepers, and like that just set the tone for the rest of the course, and I feel like we all thrived in that course because of that.
I see. Yeah, they probably learned. The NG instructor team found that this is important um, to build that atmosphere that people are there to learn. So which is good. Yeah, I'll give them a shout out on the thing. And then do you have any certain population that you love to work with? Because I know that, so for example, Ladies Weekend Out, obviously, we work with women.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you think that's a preferred population, or you feel that you're okay with anything?
I'm really okay with anything. I mean, I've had great experiences with all of my clients. So the ladies weekend out, there's definitely some kind of energy, right? You remember it was raining, but every week we were climbing limestone and it was raining and everybody had their best attitude on and we were having a great time in the rain, um, climbing on limestone. And I think that those are really important. It's really important for women to have a space like that, and I'm honored to guide in those kinds of spaces. I also, a couple weeks ago, just guided my clients. They've been my clients for 3 years, and they're in their 60s, and they love climbing at the gym. They just discovered climbing a couple years ago. They've been lifelong athletes, but they did their first multi-pitch a couple weeks ago, and I was so stoked to share that experience with them because we had talked about it for so long. So, that was a really great experience. And then also, just I have great experiences with couples, bringing them on multi-pitch climbs and sharing that they're sharing their first multi-pitch together. Sometimes just they like to climb in the gym and they need somebody to show them the ropes outside, and um, they I love that kind of population too. So
I see. And we talk about that you enjoying helping motivated people to grow and to experience new things. And what else do you like about guiding?
I like I also like the teaching part of it. And that's what you said before, that it lends itself well to um, teaching, because I like working ground school and showing how to build anchors and showing how to crack climb. And um, so when you see the aha moment in somebody's, that's what I've always liked about teaching, is seeing that aha moment. And when somebody gets it, it's really rewarding for me.
And and what do you find challenging though? Any like challenging issues or problems or difficulty has come out in guiding?
Hmm. Challenging. Well, you always have clients um, who might say that they climb harder than they do, or that they're in better shape than they are, right? So if we're going to go and climb Crystal Crag, which I don't know if you've ever done that before in Mammoth, it's a 3.5 pitch rock climb with a ridge traverse, and it's about an hour for a fit person to get up there, like not stopping, just keep hiking at a normal pace. And so when people are coming from sea level, um, they're not always, so that's fine. I just always prepare myself like this might be a 10-hour day, and that's totally fine because I just prepare for that. But um, I, I'm trying to think of other things. I mean, I don't, I don't think that there's many things that I don't like about it. I mean, and that's not even something I don't like about it. That's just something I always pre-plan for. Like,
Yeah, I mean, of course, right? We
so
want to think
yeah,
about all sorts,
right.
right?
Yeah. And
We interview our clients, but then we don't take
mhm.
100%
Right,
from their
right.
words, right?
Yeah, right. And I just want my clients to be successful or to feel successful, right, at the end of the day. So, um, So that's part of my job too, is to help them reach their goals and feel successful.
Nice. And do you think that you will stay in Bisha for a while? Because right now you have a house in Vegas, but
Mm-hmm.
from just talking with you, that because Vegas, I like Vegas, but I don't like driving in Vegas, right? So that urban environment is a little, but all other things about Vegas I think is good. But
Mm-hmm.
Bishop, I've been to Bishop. It's a very different
Mm-hmm.
place than in
Mm-hmm.
Vegas. So I'm just kind of
Mm-hmm.
curious, do you kind of see that you stay in Bishop and how much time you're gonna be in Red Rock and all that? What's your
Mm-hmm.
plan?
My plan is to um I will stay in Bishop, and I think that having a place in Vegas, which I'm also renting out the spare bedrooms to other climbers. So that's fun because I have built-in climbing partners when I go there. Um, but it's almost helped me want to stay here longer because now I have, like, we call it the bubble. There's like this Eastern Sierra bubble where you're here and there's no Trader Joe's, there's no Target. Um, where, in Vegas, I'm around the corner from Home Depot. I'm 5 minutes from Costco, 5 minutes from Target, like 5 minutes from Trader Joe's. And I love it because then I can go, for a week and I'll, guide. And then before I leave, I'll hit up all the stores and then come back to Bishop. So it's almost like um, I can have the best of both worlds now. That's what I that's what I think. That's what I'm trying to create for myself is like I love living in Bishop and being here, but then also I can have my, big city experiences and yeah, and also guiding there and climbing there because I love Red Rock.
Nice.
Usually in the winter time, like November and December are when real estate slows down because people don't generally want to move during the holidays. So that's when guiding will pick up in Red Rock or there's more, you guiding. So I'll spend more time there during those months.
I see. Right now, I am assuming, so this is a big assumption to say, am assuming your realtor job is actually more of your bread maker. Is that
Hmm.
right? Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess this year, yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, there were some years where climbing was, much more because just, working, depending on like how the summer goes, um, it it's it's very fruitful.
I
Yeah.
see. No, I mean, the reason I asked this is just one that I think you can be a good person to talk to if somebody just like, yeah, I am afraid guiding full time because
Hmm.
it's scary. Um, and then, but I also want to find like another profession so I have either something to fall back or something to support myself if the guiding work kind of dries up.
Okay. Well, you're also a SPI provider, right?
Yes,
Which that was something else I thought about, like, oh, teaching guides would be that would be a great position um, too, So do you feel like um, that could be an option? I mean, to just do more of that if you can't just do climbing guiding, or like if climbing guiding slows down, could you schedule more SPI courses?
Um, well, you still need to fill those courses. So for me, the SPI courses is not that different than I teaching people how to track line or how to multi-pitch. It's all teaching. It's just a different set of curriculum and
Mm-hmm.
different objective because these people want to be guides and other people want to be independent climbers. But in essence, they are all teaching. And so
Mm-hmm.
I only categorize them as teaching and then more teaching intensive. And then say bringing people up to multi-pitch is more guiding heavy. And one is more physical, the other one is more
Mm-hmm.
intellectual
Yeah.
consuming. And I can't decide because a lot of time after I teach in those courses, I didn't do any climbing, but I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
nice to mix it up. So because if I say every day I just bend in bed like multi pitch, then I'm like really exhausted too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of nice to sandwich than to just like we talk about the longevity,
Mm-hmm.
and then hopefully say the courses, if I can feel them ahead of time, then I can plan my months better too, because I don't have to wait because a lot of Red Rock multi-pitch is day guiding.
Mm-hmm.
So will I have work? Will I not have work? But usually in the peak season, I do. But you still can shake the thoughts. Like, oh, I don't have anything on my calendar yet.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm still finding the balance too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like the, I don't know, but perhaps all the guys are trying to find that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know, do you think you find that or you're still, is that more dynamic balance for you?
Well, I don't know if I found the balance, but I do like the two jobs do, I feel like, balance themselves because one is computer or like just focusing on two people at a time or one person at a time. It's just what guiding is, right? You're focusing on one or two people or just a small group of people at a time. And yes, one is physical. And then, but even if I'm not guiding that day and I'm doing something with real estate, then I'm going out climbing in the afternoon or going on a run. So I feel like, yeah, I always need to move my body. I just, I'm wary about how much, because I could go out and climb every single day because I love it so much, right? But then I feel like I'm risking, yeah, can't try too hard too many days in a row. Like I can't go try to send those, all those projects like multiple days in a row. That's just, yeah, gotta let the body rest some days.
All right. And so what's next on your plate? I know, I mean, the podcast is not gonna publish maybe,
Mhm.
I am guessing maybe December, January, to be honest.
Yeah.
You can tell me what's going on for the next couple months if it's like a regular event that you do it every year. Otherwise, if you have anything you want to plug in here for next year.
Well, definitely the climbing and yoga retreat. We're trying to do that seasonally. And so that's super fun. Go check it out with Sierra Mountain Center. And I also work the Bishop Cragging Classic, which there's many Cragging Classics around different cities. And this year I'm working one of the clinics with Sierra Mountain Guides. And I'm also um, Ladies Weekend Out happens in many different places as well. Red Rock is going to be in October, but usually there's a Bishop one in March in the springtime. Um, and that's what I'm really stoked about right now is that that's coming up in the next couple of weeks in October. Um, just one-on-one or 2-to-1 private guiding um, in November and December and wintertime, mostly in Red Rock because there's not a lot of guided, like unless you want me to take you to the gorge. I mean, I would be happy to take somebody to the gorge in the wintertime if they want to go sport climbing. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much what I have on my plate for the next couple months. But um, I'd like to know what you think about working for different guide services because I think you work for yourself, right?
Not exactly,
Yeah.
because I don't own a guide service. So I do travel and guide at different places. So I
Hmm.
have to get in contact with
Hmm.
people that who has a permit in that area and
Hmm.
to see that whether I can use their permit and insurance. And obviously then we need to talk about the split.
Hmm.
Right. So how much they're gonna take and how much I'm gonna take from my clients. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and and then in the guiding world, I guess we call it independent guiding. And
Hmm.
some so-called independent guide, they have their own services, guide service. But in Red Rock, there's no way I can have my own because all the permits are taken.
Right. Yeah.
And I can participate in the lottery, but it only give me 10 days a year, which is a little bit not ideal since I live in Vegas.
Right.
So, so I have to work with those companies for sure. Yeah. And then the only difference is if client contact me, so that's my clients in quotes,
Mhm.
so that I can get a better cut from the pay. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing as well. But I was, um, I know that you've been guiding for much longer than I have. And I'm thinking about, yeah, just how you manage your clients and, and permits and things like that. Where else do you guide besides Red Rock?
Uh, for example, this summer I went up to Washington State.
Hmm?
Yeah. And so I guided in Index, Washington. I taught some courses and I also guided, and those were through my friend's guide service.
Hmm.
And I also guided some other areas. Then I have to go with American Alpine Institute. So because they have those permits. And then I also have been guiding Indian Creek in the past. Uh, back then when the CGC, which is the certified co-op, was still operating,
Hmm.
and also summer in Wyoming too,
Hmm.
because I have taught off-west climbing clinic in Vidable
Oh,
too.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So those are the areas I've been
Mhm.
guiding. Yes. Uh, yeah. I mean, it's fun. Yeah, but those things I have to plan ahead. Yeah, it's not like I just go there and I just somehow I just have clients. So usually those have to be pre-planned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay.
Are you
Okay.
exploring other areas too, or?
Not right now. I mean, I used to, before I moved to Bishop, I feel like I went on more climbing trips. I've been all over, like I've been to Spain, I've been to Squamish, um, Colorado, Utah, climbing Arizona, you know, um, all over um, Washington, Idaho. I've been to Kentucky, right? Red River, New River. I've been all over climbing, but I have not been that on that many trips besides Red Rock or, anywhere in the Eastern Sierra since I moved to Bishop. And I think it's just because there's so much here and it's so easy, like to wake up in my own bed, go to my kitchen, make coffee in my own kitchen, and then go climbing and then come back and sleep in my own bed. It's just like I need to get back to 10 sleep next summer. That's a goal. Like I really liked it there, and I have not been, um, I've not been, um, I've not been back there in way too long. So I need to get back there. But yeah, that's one of the places that I would like to get back to next
And
summer.
so are you thinking about when you do, say, your own climbing trip, so it would be ideal for you to tag on some guiding day? Is that what you are trying to accomplish?
No, but I didn't think about that. That's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
good.
originally you asked me this question, so I was just
hmm
wondering whether that was what you were thinking.
No, I wasn't thinking about that, but that is a great idea to, yeah, do a personal trip, but then, yeah, tack on some guiding days.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. Maybe some people would love to be there if you have some
Right,
compelling curriculum and stuff, just like, when you do your yoga retreat with your friend.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I love that idea. That's great.
great. Yeah. It's always nice, right? So talking with your fellow guys and people, I found that guys are uh, also like a business person, right? You kind of have to develop your career
Mhm.
in a sense you develop a business. I don't know. Do you
Yeah.
agree?
Yes, I do because you have to think about, yeah, how you want to brand yourself and how you want to um, like also keeping in touch with clients, right? I'm not that great on social media, but I've been trying to do it more just so that, people know what I'm doing. And then, it's easier when you see me guiding somebody and, oh yeah, that's her. Oh yeah, I want to do that too. Like I should reach out to her. So I'm trying to be better about that. But you're right, it is um, business minded, but I I am enjoying, truly enjoy the connections that I have with my clients. And a lot of them have turned into friends, or they're like, send me a video of them climbing in the climbing gym. Like, look, what I did. Or some of them will be like, oh, I can't figure this problem out. Look, I keep falling here. So we send videos back and forth of maybe try this move or try moving your body this way or that way. And um, it yeah, it's it's a learning experience, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. So that actually remind me, that must be another thing. I mean, if you enjoy guiding, like I enjoy guiding, I have to boldly say that you have to enjoy the people aspect
Mm-hmm.
of this profession. I mean,
hmm
in my mind, that the technical and risk management is like you need to not forget about them. But the most important product, I think, is their experience that you're creating together with them.
I
And
agree.
yeah, and back when, but I think you already have some business mindset. I mean, look at you, that right now you have your own schedule, right? So you don't have a 9 to 5 job. Yes, you get paycheck, right? Because
hmm
as a guy in US, you need to get paycheck because that's labor, whatever law that they were talking about. So you need to be receiving a W-2 and all that. But for the most of the time that you are actually managing your own client and your own schedule. So
hmm
that's a business.
hmm Yes.
I don't know. I love to talk about business, but this podcast is actually more about you, so it's not about me. So we can talk about it when you are probably in Vegas. And if you want to have a chat, we can go
Mhm.
chat at the crag or something.
Yeah, let's go climbing and have a chat. But no, I mean, I'm open to whatever you want to ask me.
And I also usually ask some bigger questions that I like to ask all my guests. Some are very serious, some lighthearted. Like, for example, right now, I actually like to ask you, what do you consider as a professionalism? Like, what do you see if a guy is a professional guide?
Neil Satterfield told me one time, not because I was late, just because he was teaching me something, but he said, early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable. So I always remember that, like I want to be there before the client because I need to like get myself centered and um, whenever we're gonna meet, I'm always like, I want to be dressed nicely, clean, no holes, like I'm looking professional in my guide attire. Um, and I have my guide talk down and the things that we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about safety. We're going to have those discussions about risk management and weather and all of those. I think that all goes with professionalism. Um, um,
Great. And do
Courtesy.
you, okay, yeah. And do you have some favorite piece of gear that you always bring?
I love my totems. I love my totems.
Yeah.
Um,
The totem has gained
mhm.
a great popularity, especially the black totem, that
Yeah.
mysterious black totem.
Yeah.
Great. How about, how about if somebody, sorry, how about if people can only take one thing away from this podcast? What do you want them to take away?
I hope that my personality came out and that you could, like, I'm the type of person that you'd like to go climbing with. If one thing comes out of this, like, um, wow, she seems really knowledgeable. Like I could learn a lot from her, or she would be a great climbing partner. That's what I hope this podcast would get across.
For sure. And then this person better be motivated.
Yeah. The person that climbs with me.
Yeah. I mean, because the more they are motivated, the more the nicer you're gonna treat them, right?
Well, no, I feel like to pay a guide, you have to have motivation, right? To do that, first of all. But just climbing partners in general, like, you know, um, they just have to be safe and want to have a good time. Like they don't have to like be so motivated, that we're gonna go. It's our first time climbing together, and you're gonna belay me on my project, right? Like not that type of motivation, right? I
Yeah,
love making connections with people, and I feel like climbing is just a way to do that. So
definitely.
I'm not an extrovert where like I want to go to a big party with everybody, but I do genuinely enjoy. It's not just about the climbing, but it's the conversations that we have in between the climbs.
Nice.
And it's the connections that we make, when we're walking to the crag. That's what I really think. Climbing is fun, of course, but climbing is the vehicle to make connections with people.
All right. And the last question for you. Even though I know you're fading out, what subject do you teach in high school?
I teach English and I also teach history.
Oh, so English
Mhm.
is like uh writing or what?
Yeah. So English literature, like reading and writing and reading the classics, To Kill a Mockingbird and Of Mice and Men and Brave
Nice.
New World, books like that. Yep. And then because Bishop was such a small school, I've always taught English, but because Bishop's a small school, a rural school, they needed somebody to teach history as well when I moved here. So I just started teaching history as well. And
Oh,
I'm,
okay.
yeah. Hmm.
So history is new for you.
Hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
Hmm.
Wow, English. Nice. Yeah,
Hmm.
great. Because I always want to better my English. All right. Thank you so much for coming to this podcast and get interviewed.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I had a really great time talking to you.